Welcome, brothers and sisters, to our Lenten series entitled Junk in the Yard. We've been talking about the sin of lust. In the first letter of St. John, we hear following words: "Do not love the world and what is in the world. In the one who loves the world, there is no love of God." How can we translate that into our reality? More we're enticed, drawn to, and fascinated by the allurements, the blinking lights, the posh, extravagant style of life that the world offers us, less attraction God and His Word and the life of the Holy Spirit would be in us. Let's think about it. All the movies, TV shows that are from the mainstream media, the culture that proposes us a style of life that, once examined very carefully, will find very different and in contrast with what the scriptures, what Christ is teaching us. As we are molded and gradually shaped by the message of the media, we may not realize how quickly we depart from the values of the gospel, of what the church teaches, of what Christ and His Word are all about. When we spend a lot of time watching the mainstream culture message that is being offered to us, what do we find there? Attraction to what the world has to offer as the answer to a human longing for love, for happiness, for contentment. We cannot escape running into a lot of content of promiscuity, immorality, a lot of unchastity that maybe before would even cause many people to blush, to be ashamed of. Nowadays, it's all celebrated. But we need to be attentive to this particular point. When we are exposed to this worldly message, we are being shaped unconsciously. At first, maybe we would say, I don't agree with that. After some time, we would say, well, I'm neutral. And by the time we actually are aware of, we already swallowed the pill that the devil, through the culture, has been offering us. And we would justify any ways of living sexual immorality, saying, well, that's today's world. Everybody lives according to that. Which is not true. There are many people who don't, but to justify ourselves, we would say everybody lives like that. And the message and everything is offered to us in such a convincing, appealing fashion that we cannot resist, because what we observe, watch, and swallow inside shapes us until we believe what we have been told, namely, what the world offers us is the truth. But we only see the facade, the external element. We see only the actor on the stage, and we don't even know what his or her life is all about behind the scenes in their private life. Issues, problems, tragedies, sadness, depressions, and all sorts of things that come in a package. As St. Paul says, the salary of sin is death. Not the physical one, but he speaks about the interior death of the spirit. Today I would like us to reflect consciously and sincerely with our own life. What message do we receive in our lives, what content we feed ourselves on. What is the style of life that we are drawn into, admire, are fascinated by, are drawn into, that we start thinking about, and look how, even superficially, in a foolish way, would justify and brush off watching obscene, immoral content on TV, in the social media, and beyond. Let's be sincere with ourselves that quickly our hearts turn to be insensitive to what we observe. What do we watch? What shapes us? What molds our heart? What attracts our attention? It's critical because if we are meant to address the sin of lust, we cannot bypass a sincere examination of conscience of how we spend our time in front of our computers, in front of our TV and devices where we receive different content. Do we love the world? That means the love of God, the Holy Spirit, is not present in us. Instead, if we ask for the grace of the Holy Spirit and gradually start being very attentive and careful and avoid, remove all the content that is doubtful, that is interiorly damaging to our spirit, more God's love, His Spirit, contentment and peace and joy and deep understanding of who we are and the meaning of our sexuality will be soaking into our souls, changing us, making us sensitive to the promptings of the Holy Spirit. St. Augustine provides a medicine for the fire of the temptations that have to do with the flesh, meaning the fire of the temptations of lust can be extinguished with the greater fire of God's love. If the Holy Spirit enlightens and inflames our heart with God's love, with joy and peace and serenity, then automatically, by default, we would be pushing away from our lives the content that saddens the Holy Spirit, that kills the grace of God in us. We'll become very careful. I will use this analogy. Many people dealing with different medical conditions received a message from their doctors to avoid certain foods, nourishments that are not helpful, are destructive to their health. I'm amazed how many of them are careful when it comes to diets, because everybody would like to remain healthy and avoid any medical issues. When it comes to the health of our souls, are we so particular, meticulous, and careful when it comes to the content that kills the life of the Spirit within us? Let us nourish on the Holy Spirit, on the working of God in our lives. Let us turn to Jesus Christ. And what is very powerful in this regards that I would like to suggest is the adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. Please find time during the season of Lent and beyond. Go in front of the Blessed Sacrament in your adoration chapel, or finding time before daily Mass, after daily Mass, even on Sunday, to spend time in prayer, turning to the Lord, praying, asking for the guidance of the Holy Spirit and this flame of God's love for our lives.